Disneyland reopened to paying guests on April 30th, and since then, I have been on a personal quest trying to figure out if the park is busy. Well, more specifically, are guests showing up? Are guests deciding to go to Disneyland, or are they deciding not to go to Disneyland? In this State of Disneyland address, I think I may have finally decided where Disneyland and Disneyland guests stand. The past couple of visits to the park and some recent research that I've been doing have been a real eye-opener for me, and we're going to talk about that next on Fresh Baked. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Fresh Baked, and apparently, welcome back to Disneyland. I say that because apparently, many of you had decided that you'd like to go to Disneyland after all. I was in the parks most recently this past Saturday and yesterday, Monday, and I have to say those 2 days were darn busy indeed. Probably Monday was probably the busiest day that I've experienced at Disneyland since the parks have reopened. But before we get into that commentary, let me recap how things have gone that have led us to this current environment that we're at today at the Disney parks. As mentioned, the parks reopened to paying guests on April 30th, and I mean, it was a rocky start. Lots of restaurants not open, no entertainment, social distancing, masks everywhere, and the parks felt it. COVID was affecting park attendance despite the perceived pent-up demand. Well, I shouldn't say perceived because people definitely wanted to go to Disneyland, so it wasn't perceived, but you would think with all that pent-up demand, people might have shown up a little bit more. And this continued into June. Even after the COVID restrictions were lifted, on June 15th, there was no social distancing and no masks for guests. And, interestingly, there were no capacity limits. Theme parks, at their discretion, could operate at 100% capacity if they chose to, but Disney didn't. Crowds were light into July and then into August. Our understanding at the time, around this August period, was that Disney was still operating at somewhere between 40 and 50% capacity. Now, that doesn't mean that the park should feel, I don't know, half as busy as normal. But let's say Disney sold 100% of that 40 to 50% capacity limit, then that could mean up to 40,000 guests in the park. 40,000 guests in the park is a pretty busy day. That's math, though. I don't want to get into math today. What I do want to say is that there weren't 40,000 people in the park in August, even after Magic Keys went on sale on August 25th. And that was a day that I had thought for sure that we would start seeing an immediate and drastic increase in the feel of how crowded the park felt. We never know exactly how many tickets they're selling. We never know exactly what the capacity limit is, but we can tell you how it feels when we're in the park. And I was expecting a pretty immediate increase in the feeling of busyness in the park, but it didn't happen. And to me at the time, it felt like a rebuke of the reservation system. I thought a lot of APs were still saying no, that they were going to wait to buy an annual pass until the reservation system ended. And I say all of this is all leading up to this point. It's really busy in the parks right now. And it's getting really difficult to make a reservation. That is, if you are a Dream or Believe key holder. And I'll explain where I make that distinction. In the first few weeks after the keys became available, it wasn't too difficult for me to get any day that I wanted. It took some work, but I was going every weekend. I was going any day I wanted. I just had to be vigilant. I just had to watch the calendar and be ready to take the day that I needed when it came available. Now the calendar looks like this. If you're a Dream or Believe key holder, this calendar is a nightmare. I mean, hopefully if you're a key holder out there and you're looking at this, hopefully you have the dates you want already. But if you don't, now the reason why I single out Dream and Believe, saying it's more difficult for them to get the days they want than it is for Enchant or Imagine, which I'm sure it's hard to get reservations for those two passes. But the reason why I single them out is because it is my understanding, it is my observation that the majority of people who own a Dream or Believe key want to go on the weekends. That's why you get a Dream key, so that you can go on the weekends. You're not trying to go during the week. I mean, you will go to the week. You're going to go a lot perhaps. But the key benefit of having one of those two passes is so that you can make weekend reservations. Enchant and Imagine keys have extensive blockout calendars, limiting your ability to get a weekend reservation. Matter of fact, if you own the Imagine, you can't go at all. It's completely wiped out. There is no weekends for you. So not being able to go on a weekend is no big deal because you couldn't already. But when it comes to the reservation calendar, and well, the parks too, in the last few weeks, it's as if somebody just flipped a switch. Bob Chapek even acknowledged this when he was talking to Goldman Sachs last week.
And then the following few weeks, we saw a bit of an impact in terms of a slowdown of our guests coming to our parks. But then Labor Day happened, and all of a sudden, things started to recover quite nicely.
Delta hit them pretty hard in August, and that's why we weren't seeing a big increase or a big tick up in attendance. But as soon as Labor Day hit, people started to come back. The crowd started showing up. And he's right. Chapek is right. I mean, we've got the receipts. A month ago, here's how things looked in front of Pirates at about 3 p.m. on a Saturday. And here's the walk up to Pirates at 3 p.m. yesterday, a Monday. And you can find examples like this all over the park. Main Street at 10 a.m. a month ago. Main Street at 1 p.m. yesterday. Star Tours at 3 p.m. a month ago. Star Tours at 4 p.m. last Monday. The park is definitely busier. It feels like it on the ground, and we're seeing it on the wait times. Where you used to only have to worry about this weekend and maybe next weekend in terms of planning ahead and making reservations. Now, all of October, the weekends are completely booked up. This weekend, next weekend, all 4 weekends are almost completely sold out. Just a single Saturday is available for a DCA start. By the way, it goes into November too. Disneyland is sold out that first Saturday, both parks the next Saturday, and Disneyland again on the 20th. Oh, December? You want to know about December? Look at this. If you want a weekend date during the holiday season, you better plan early, and you have to commit at least one of your 6 reservations now for December. We may not be able to gamble that the dates we want are going to be there for us in a couple of weeks when that time arrives. And this is precisely why Disneyland likes the reservation system, why they want the reservation, so they can level attendance across all dates. They want APs to show up during the week so they can sell more tickets to single-day ticket holders on the weekend. And they're winning. I submit to you this conversation that I had with my wife just a couple nights ago. We were looking at our reservation calendar as it's something we do now almost on a daily basis, it seems like. And a couple of days that Liz wanted that were weekend days weren't available. They were sold out. So she said, well, I guess if I can't get those weekend dates that I want, well, I'll try to find some time and go during the week. And I immediately started laughing at her, and she didn't understand why at the time. And I said, well, Disneyland just won. Disney just won. They got from her exactly what they're looking for. Weekend dates are booked up. No problem. I'll go during the week. Boom. Victory for Disneyland. Now, mind you, I say all this. I'm not angry. I'm not angry at Disney for doing this. It's good business. I think that any business would try to do this, try to spread out their attendance as much as possible. I don't hold this against them at all. But if one were to characterize this development as a battle between Disney and the guest, considering I would think no guest wants the reservation system. We want to be able to just go to the park whenever we want. So there is sort of a battle going on. If there is such a thing, Disney's winning right now. Okay, here's an interesting observation. I found that I needed to cancel my Tuesday reservation for this week and make it a Monday reservation. But on that day, it was a Sunday, I think, when I was trying to do this, Monday was sold out at Disneyland for a start. There was only DCA available, and then I could park hop at 1 p.m. Disneyland was full. DCA had space available. Yet when I arrived at the Esplanade at 1 p.m., I found the Disneyland entrance to be mostly empty. You could just walk right through. But the DCA entrance had a pretty long line. Same condition I found it in the morning as well. Rightfully so, because right now DCA is a happening place. People want to go to DCA because of the Halloween parties. But if there is this much demand to get into DCA right now, why do they have the reservations available, but Disneyland does not? Now, I'll be the first to admit that this is far from a scientific approach. Analytically, it means literally nothing because there's not enough data for us to draw any kind of logical conclusion. I can say only that Disney wants us to go to DCA and not go to Disneyland, and they're doing it through the reservation system. Just like Disney wants me to go during the week and not the weekend. And again, I'll say this is not a complaint, this is not a rant. This is good business. I think that Disney is being very savvy about this. They're doing what they want to do. I'm just speaking towards those of us who would rather not make a reservation. And if you're a weekend warrior, you should probably be paying attention to this situation because it's probably going to get more complicated, more difficult to get a reservation than less in the coming months. I've often said over the years that once the first day of the Halloween season starts, the parks get progressively more and more busy each day as it gets closer and closer to Christmas time. And I believe the same is going to be true for reservations. They appear to be getting more and more difficult to secure, more and more competitive to secure, and it's probably not going to get less competitive as we get closer to the holidays. Now, a couple things before we conclude. First, I still don't think that Disney's operating at 100% capacity. We've still got room for more guests, which means we've also got room for more reservations. So while this does look alarming, this calendar, I expect that for Disney to drop more dates. So once it's sold out, and this is something that we've been talking about for a long time. Once a date looks like it's sold out, don't give up. Keep coming back and check and see if you can get your date at a later time. Now, it's going to be, like I said, more competitive. People are planning ahead more. They're squatting on dates more. I feel like that's a thing. But they're going to cancel those as they get closer to their date as well. So you're going to see that happen. But I don't think that this is a done deal, that I still think there's room, opportunity for reservations to be made, in spite of how, dirty that calendar looks right now. Second, while Disney does appear to be winning the reservation battle right now, there could be a whole other story come 2022. If Disney is successful in converting Dream and Believe key holders from weekend visitors to weekday visitors, then when it comes time to renew next year in August, they may choose not to get a Believe or Dream key. They may choose to get the Imagine key, or they may, just downgrade one pass. Every action has a reaction, and that reaction is a possibility. But it's a long way from now. We got a lot of time before we get to that point. A lot of things to observe and see what happens. Who knows? The park could change dramatically between now and then in terms of making it more palatable for people to go, and they're going to want to go, and they're going to want to buy those keys. So who knows? But for now, like I said, if you want to go on the weekends, be vigilant. Pay attention to the calendar. Until then, follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, and on Twitter at FreshBakedDizzy, that's Fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDizzy. And if you enjoy our show and would like to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. Otherwise, thanks very much for watching, everybody. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Fresh Baked.